Before we discuss subjectivism further, let's get two other philosophical theories about the status of morality on the table. The second theory I want to discuss is moral relativism. There are many forms of relativism, but the basic idea is that our moral opinions are indeed true or false, but they're only true or false relative to something that can vary between people. In this way, my opinion that polygamy is wrong might be true for me, but false for someone else. How is that possible? Well, one extreme form of relativism is subjectivism. This is the view that our moral opinions are relativized to each of our own subjective attitudes. For example, the subjectivist says that my assertion, polygamy is wrong, is true just in case I morally disapprove of polygamy, but someone else's assertion that polygamy is not wrong would be true just in case they do not morally disapprove of polygamy. Here's a rough analogy. It's like when I say, okra is yummy, and you say, okra is gross. We might think that my assertion is true for me, even while your assertion is true for you. If morality is like this, it would explain why our moral opinions can seem very personal, and why they're intimately tied up with motivation to action. However, this extreme form of relativism has a really hard time explaining the possibility of genuine moral disagreement. Unlike the example about okra, when it comes to polygamy, those who disagree are not generally prepared to chalk up their disagreement to mere differences in taste. This motivated some philosophers to endorse a less extreme form of moral relativism. They claimed that truth of moral opinions is relative to culture. Here's another rough analogy. When someone in Britain says, one must always drive on the left, and someone in the US says, one must never drive on the left, they are plausibly interpreted as making completely consistent claims that are simply relativized to different driving rules. That is, the statement made in Britain is true relative to the driving rules in Britain, while the statement made in the US is true relative to the driving rules in the US. Since these are non-overlapping jurisdictions, there's no real dispute. Of course, if the jurisdictions did overlap, there might be more than dispute. There might be traffic accidents. The cultural relativist view about the status of morality is similar. The relativist says that my opinion that polygamy is wrong could be true relative to my culture, but someone else's opinion that polygamy is not wrong could be true relative to their culture. Then there'd be no real conflict. To explain the possibility of moral disagreement, the relativist will argue that sometimes, even often, people find themselves in overlapping cultures. And in these cases, there is a real issue to dispute, which actions are morally right and wrong relative to the culture shared by both people. But other times, where cultures do not overlap, there's no real dispute, says the relativist.